Welcome to Sterling Visionary Voices, the podcast dedicated to bringing you diverse, innovative leadership insights and actionable strategies for success. Join hosts Laura McNeil and Bob Medeiros as they explore the art and science of role model leadership through thought-provoking conversations with real professionals. Whether you're a seasoned leader or aspiring to excellence, Sterling Visionary Voices is your guide to navigating the complexities of your leadership journey.
Artificial intelligence is blowing the doors off of the time it takes to perform research. In fact, this was highlighted in a recent CBS Sunday morning clip that showcased a list of 10 to 12 illnesses that are on the brink of cure. Those illnesses included Alzheimer's, autism, cancer, and more. The impact that AI can introduce is a true call to leaders in all industries to stay relevant, to hone in, and to optimize their organization's core competencies. This is imperative to uniquely position branded, innovative products and services in the marketplace. With us today is Chris Norcia. Chris has a long career as a principal client lead for dozens of Fortune 500 companies. His history of working with AI spans decades, from being an early member of the International Neural Network Society to his recent AI research and writings. He began his career as an Air Force officer after working his way through school as a chef in London and as a nationally recognized poet. While a graduate student in the Air Force Institute of Technology, Captain Norcia invented the world's first three-dimensional chess cube before being assigned to Washington, D.C. while working with DARPA and gaining insights into artificial neural networks and DARPANET. He is currently finishing his book on leading the AI revolution while residing in Florida, teaching various martial arts, and researching oenology. Welcome to Visionary Voices, Chris. Would you mind starting us out with some background on how you personally originally became involved with AI?
Oh, sure, Laura. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate us being able to continue this discussion that you and I have had several times now and sharing it with others. So, my start with AI was after I graduated from the Air Force Institute of Technology and was in Washington, D.C. One of my duties was to work with DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and bring from DARPA to the Air Force capabilities specifically for, at that time, office automation. So these were not command control type capabilities. This was office automation capabilities like any major corporation would be using and looking to do at that time, paperless office. So with that in mind, the two things that I was working with them on were artificial neural networks, as we were just mentioning, and DARPANET. And DARPANET originally started as ARPANET, the Advanced Research Projects Agency network, which linked supercomputers from various universities and institutions together. And then DARPA took that and expanded on it quite a bit, and eventually it became what we know as the internet. So that was one part of the work I was doing, but the other was with artificial neural networks, and they completely intrigued me. Just the concept of being able to mathematically program, and it wasn't even programming, but mathematically mirror what a human thought process was. And those simple artificial neural networks that I had drawn on my whiteboard behind my desk actually looked like synaptic junction neural networks in the brain, where you could see with weighted factors, we would increment or decrement when an answer was correct or incorrect and what have you. So that was my start with it. I was really intrigued by something called SNOOP, sodium nitrate observable output platform or something like that, which was a bomb detection device that DARPA had built for detecting bombs in airports. And they had trained it at JFK, I believe, in LaGuardia and in New York, and it worked wonderfully. Now, bear in mind, this is back in the 70s, early 80s, that type of thing. And it worked wonderfully. And after the Berlin disco bombings, if you recall those, it was sent to Berlin, where it failed abysmally. And the reason that it failed was the German people typically travel with sausages in their briefcases. And sausages are cured with sodium nitrite. And obviously, if that's what you're detecting, then the entire pattern needs to be rethought and retrained. So that was the spark. That was what really got me interested and got me going. It was an exciting time. And then we went into what's called the AI winter. And folks that are familiar with AI know that for a while there, AI wasn't living up to the hype and began being relegated to the back room for quite a while.
Yeah, AI introduces an interesting dynamic in regards to risk management for corporations. Do you have any insight on how organizations could balance the need for AI type innovation with the risks that come with them?
Laura, that is a hot topic, isn't it? Yeah, balancing innovation and risk requires a dual approach where we need to encourage experimentation while still maintaining strong governance. So, at its core, that means creating a safe space for innovation, like pilot programs and innovation labs. And I'll go into a little more detail on that in a bit. But places where teams can test AI solutions on a small scale without impacting critical operations. So that's part of it. And to mitigate risks, robust frameworks for AI governance need to be put in place. And this is key. These frameworks need to focus on ethics and data privacy and accountability. AI projects need to undergo evaluation to make sure that they align with organizational values and the quality standards of the organization. So that and regularly assessing AI models for biases and inaccuracies to ensure that they perform as they're intended, this is key. As leaders, we play the critical role here, right? We need to be setting clear vision and leading by example and demonstrating that innovation doesn't mean recklessness. It means intentional strategic growth. And that's the key is transparency here, communicating openly about the potential benefits and the challenges so that everyone understands why we're behind what we're doing.
It's interesting that you brought up the point about the sausage in the German briefcases. That to me is almost a good example of the need to balance risks with reality. The failure of that detection was based upon its ability to bypass a real threat. And so do you have any advice for leaders in regard to how they could keep an eye out for things like sodium nitrate and sausage and the detection of when it is really truly a viable risk or threat?
Yeah. I think it's important that structures get put in place and that we were mentioning here, having structures in place that allow the organization to grow their knowledge of AI in a safe manner. What we're talking about here is being able to, in a stepped approach, bring our organizations to full maturity. So there's a maturation model I'm working on now for AI, having AI fully inculcated within an organization at the early stages of this maturation model, but there's a couple of different parts of the organization that play a role here. We all obviously know that IT, information technology, has the key developmental role. And I'll talk a little bit about incubation programs and the journey for that. But also, we have the traditional data science folks that over the course of decades, the actuarials and folks like that, the statisticians and the folks that know what the numbers mean and what they predict, they have a big role in this as well, as does the general counsel or the legal function of our organizations. So we need to put in models, governance models, from the data science side and the legal side and the human resources too. That's another area that's pulled in here as well, which we can do a whole separate topic on. But in building those models and then making sure that the IT areas are delivering fit those models and work along those lines. And I said I'd come back and talk a little bit about the training models for the IT and development side. And typically these look like incubators, like any other incubators, where there's some prerequisite learning that's necessary to get you started. But then there's guided practice with mentors, where to make sure that on this journey, people understand the AI model, guidance, and the principles that the organization holds true. And then from there, stepping into pilot programs, non-mission critical development areas, sandbox type things, or very small self-contained items. And eventually, upon graduation, when or full maturation, then we can allow folks to actually work on mission critical customer facing areas. So that's there's a lot that we can talk about in any of those areas, but that's a high level overview, if you will.
What about leaders? Do you have any thoughts around how leaders can become a little more literate in regard to AI and how they can empower and engage their teams to embrace it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, it's really important to invest heavily in AI education at the leadership level. We see these investments being made at the IT development level and other areas, right? Use case development and things like that. But at the leadership level, it starts with tailored workshops that demystify AI. A lot of folks don't have the best understanding of AI or are fearful, right? But demystifying AI and focusing not on the technical coding, but on understanding AI's applications, its limitations, and its potential impact. These sessions are what's needed to empower leaders to ask the right questions to make the informed decisions. Along with that, organizations need to introduce ongoing learning programs, providing access to webinars, case studies, industry reports. Leaders need to be encouraged to share what they learn with their teams in creating a trickle-down effect of this knowledge and this enthusiasm. So to solidify this, it's best that embedded AI discussions are put into regular strategy sessions. I think that's key. Every major decision is going to have to be accompanied by data-driven insights here. HBR just released a great survey on the 5 biggest changes in business in 2024, and a lot of it dealt with the whole data-driven insight concept in that. So this is key. AI tools generate different types of insights into data that we didn't have before. Making sure that leaders have this embedded in their strategy sessions ensures that AI becomes part of the operational fabric rather than just isolated initiatives. So that's what we see a lot of times when there's something new. It might start off as an isolated initiative here or there. AI is so transformative and will be so pervasive, it needs to become part of the operational fabric. I think that's really important, that as leaders, we encourage hands-on experimentation and pairing leaders with piloting AI projects and giving them some exposure firsthand to the workings and the impact. And I think that combination of education, practice, and integration, it ensures that the leaders are well prepared for this new evolving landscape.
I totally agree with what you just shared. There's been a resistance to AI. But honestly, and now I'm going to date myself, I know there was resistance to the video phone back in the 60s. Now we're all on video. In fact, you and I are talking right now on Zoom in the recording studios. It's all about video. And why can't you have your camera turned on? As opposed to, I'm not turning my camera on. The trend has certainly turned. What do we see as a factor for resistance with AI? And then any strategies on how we overcome that resistance to speed up the adoption, the understanding, and the ability to leverage the tooling in a more functional manner quicker?
Yeah, that is key, isn't it? Because we know that, and we've seen this, obviously, you just mentioned with the video phone, but the advent of the internet, where this conversation first started, DARPANET, and the advent of the internet, and the resistance to shifting business models to deal with this new capability, which was transformative. Companies that didn't embrace that or were too slow to embrace it are by the wayside now, mirroring some of what one of your earlier guests, Ken Perry, had talked about with some of that, right? Some of those companies, those names don't even exist anymore because they didn't adapt, adopt, look at, and embrace these new transformative tools, if you will. The other was the cell phone and shifting business models. So when we first introduce AI into our operations, there's typically significant apprehension. And a lot of this comes from employees who fear that automation will replace their roles. And it's a real fear. There's a lot of hype, and it's hard to sift through the hype for many people. So addressing this resistance head on with a transparent communication strategy is imperative. And as leaders, to begin by framing AI as a tool to augment human capability, not replace it. It's important that leaders share that message early and often. And that alleviates some of that fear. And sharing stories of how AI is helping teams automating repetitive tasks and allowing them to focus on higher valued work. This is key because we all want to feel valued in the work that we do. And most of us, the drudgery of the repetitive tasks is just that, drudgery. And we would love to add more value and do what we are really there to do. Being able to focus people on higher value work and sharing that that's what this is all about is key. Typically, we see this with customer support teams where AI handles routine inquiries and enables agents to focus on complex customer needs. I'm thinking back to the Salesforce CEO talking in Davos at the World Economic Forum just over a year ago. And he was telling a story of how Salesforce has been using AI quite some time embedded in their offerings. And I think theirs might be called Einstein. It's a ChatGPT, OpenAI based. When they rolled this out for Gucci call center, this particular Gucci call center only dealt with returns and repairs and problems with the product. And by utilizing AI, what ended up happening is that area, which never had any real sales at all, had increased bottom line sales by some ridiculous percentage. I think maybe even up to 35% of what some of the other call centers do. And that wasn't even part of their job. But it freed these call center workers up to engage more with these customers. And these customers are customers that are calling about broken products or complaints and repairs, and obviously not the happiest people. This is, I think, just a great example. And I think we'll be seeing much, much more of this, and we'll be hearing a lot more of it. And I'm really looking forward to the World Economic Forum again this year to see what comes out. That's one example. But let me go back to answering the question about organizational resistance. And this is a big part of what I do. The AI Champions program. Developing AI Champions programs or networks within an organization, I think, is key. Early adopters of AI become the advocates, sharing positive experiences, helping their peers. Now, this is peer-to-peer. So the potential there is phenomenal. It's grassroots support that transforms that skepticism into enthusiasm. And then the adoption just starts rolling after that. And that's key. And I've got so much that I can share with you on building out of AI champions networks and what have you for another time, because there's so much to talk about with that and with the AI communities of practice.
Yeah, I would love to take you up on that. It really is an exciting time. I, like you, will be looking forward to the next World Forum.
I'm not sure how much time we have left, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the title of this talk and why I chose it. This is Leading the AI Revolution, Driving Quality and Innovation in the Age of Intelligence. Where I was going with this was leading the AI revolution. We want to talk about the critical roles of CEOs and executives in shaping the adoption of AI and the revolutionary impact that this transformative force has in reshaping industries and emphasizing the urgency of and the opportunity for leaders. And leaders have to act decisively on this and not just passively look at how the AI train is moving. And I think that's key. Driving quality and innovation, the quality commitments, that resonates with all of us. I think that as we try to build our organizations and move the organizations forward, there's so much that AI will do with regard to efficiency and fostering creativity and adaptability and differentiation in a competitive market. And all of this in the age of intelligence. There's a larger societal shift here towards intelligent systems and data-driven decision-making that we've been waiting for a long time, actually. And we're here on the cusp, and it's here now. We need, as leaders, to acknowledge the rapid pace of AI advancement and stay ahead of that curve if we want to be in the game.
Relevant, yeah. Relevant, providing quality products and services. I agree. It is such an exciting time. It's an exciting time of change. And when I started out, I talked about the CBS Sunday Morning episode that delved into the cures that are coming out of AI for these diseases that have been around since the beginning of time. Imagine the opportunity then to go work on something else. It's the opportunities that I believe AI, generative AI, will open up and provide us now new opportunities for us to focus on other things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the advancements made in protein folding last year, which would take grad students almost their entire career to do one piece, are now being done in seconds or minutes. It's just the opportunities that this will provide are amazing. And we didn't even touch on how, with the advent of quantum computing, how all of this will look like horse and buggy, which again would be a whole nother topic.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Well, Chris, it's been great. Thank you so much for meeting with us. We will definitely have you back, not just for the topics you brought up, but I'm sure for others. It's just been a joy. Thank you for the time.
Wonderful the time to be involved in all of this. Great being here. Thanks for having me, and look forward to us chatting again soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Sterling Visionary Voices, Insights for Role Model Leadership from the Sterling Council. Discover more and connect with us at sterlingvisionaryvoices.com.